This is in honor of our fallen comrade, wherever he is. I hope he's watching us all. I hope he knows this is for him. Attention! Preset, arms! Ready! Aim!
The armoire door. And I have definitely closed it tight the night before.
Other way, Scott.
Fire! 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 Order, arms! Parade, rest.
So I know what the mind can do when it's under stress. I was under a lot of stress.
Before we say anything, let's just take a couple seconds just for a moment of silence.
See things sometimes. Right there.
All right. So let's begin. For those of you who don't know, our dear friend, PFC Sam Morse, passed away a little bit ago. I was shocked when I heard the news, especially because he was so young. I was just puzzled what could have possibly happened to the poor guy. And I think some of you know, I know not all of you do, I reached out to a close friend of his in real life. I approached her in a respectful manner and offered not only my condolences, but the condolences of our unit. Even though we may, a lot of us, some of us I believe have met each other in real life, but a lot of us only know each other online. But that still doesn't change the friendships and the bonds we form. And I wanted to extend our condolences to someone he knew on y'all's behalf, because we were his friend, and he really did mean something to all of us. And I asked, if it, at the risk of potentially being inappropriate, I asked what happened to the guy. And I fully expected to hear that it was a car accident, or maybe he was sick and we just didn't know it. But I was very sad to hear that what had happened was that he had committed suicide. He committed suicide in his own father's house. For those of you who haven't experienced someone that has done this, I unfortunately have before. And working in healthcare, I see a lot of people who are in the process of recovering from losing a loved one to suicide. The individuals who choose this path often hide it very well, and it shocks a lot of people around them. And the reason I bring this up is because a lot of you here are still pretty young. You may not think of it, but you are still pretty young, and you have a lot of life experiences ahead of you. And you're going to go through a lot of times where you're going to be unhappy, and for some of you, you're going to be depressed and maybe even have a crisis. And I was trying to think, when I came here tonight, what I would say about how his death could teach us all something that we could learn from, something we could carry with us in a positive manner. And the only thing I can say is that as you go through life, You're going to have a lot of times where you may find yourself without meaning, without happiness. But know that if you are thinking about suicide, know that your life is not yours to take. There are many people that have been left behind by those who have chosen this path, people that have never gotten over it, people who are permanently depressed, permanently emotionally scarred. There are lots of people in your life, whether you know it or not, that love and care about you and draw a lot of meaning from you being in their life. And if you ever are thinking about doing something like this, or maybe you suspect someone else, you owe it to yourself and to others to seek help, to reach out, or to reach out and try to help one another, because we're all in this together. And once you or someone else leaves this earth through this path, that's it. You can't accomplish anything else. You can't love, you can't hate, you can't do anything. And if there's one thing we can all learn from this, it's just the great tragedy. It's a great tragedy when somebody unfortunately goes this way, and what it does to everyone around them. It doesn't mean that we love PFC Morse any less. He's still going to be our buddy. He's still going to live on in our hearts and minds. But it is still a tragedy that he was struggling with some sort of issue that led to this unfortunate end. To you, Morris, wherever you are, I'll always remember you. Anyway, that's all I have. Second Lieutenant Brewer, the floor is yours. You want to step aside?
I'm going to keep this pretty short. I already said quite a bit on the forums, on his post. I don't think I need to say too much about Morse as a person. We all knew him. He was just a likable guy. And to all of us, there really was, even if he was a handful sometimes, I know there were quite a few times he got on my nerves, but I really can never find myself or anything, just because he's just a good guy. I mean, I know this is a really, especially I just found out what happened, but I don't want us to sit around and mourn here. Life of PFC Morse, and he was just a great person. I know a lot of us probably wish we could have done more. I mean, you really can't look at it like that. There's really nothing we could have done. I'd say I really appreciate you guys. I mean, when something like this happens, it really puts in perspective life. You know, a lot of your friends you've had over time.
What's going on, guys?
Makes these experiences that we've had a lot special. So thank you to all you guys, and thank you guys for coming. Say right.
All right. Thank you, Second Lieutenant. Sergeant Pokey, I believe you have something else you would like to say. Please step forward. The floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. I think everyone here can agree that we knew and loved Morse like a brother. He's gotta have been one of the most loving, caring, and at times excitable people we've all known. You can't say the guy lived an unfulfilled life because he sure as hell packed a lot of loving, a lot of caring, and a lot of friendship into the life he had. God knows he didn't deserve this, and I know there's not a man here who would say that they wouldn't have tried to change something if they could, but he's with God now, and we can't change that. That's all.
Thank you, Sergeant Pokey. At this time, if just to make sure we're not climbing over each other, if you have any words, please type into chat PTS, and kind of in the order that PTSs are typed in. We'll just go by one. Okay. Sherman, you're next then.
Thank you. All right, so this is kind of hitting me a little harder than I thought it would. In the military, we're taught to be a family, look out for each other. In the 29th, we're taught the same. And the last time I really spoke to Morse is it was actually a year ago. I was going through BLC, having a rough time, trying to work my way up the ranks in the Army. And Morris messaged me one day after a really, really rough day. And he could tell there was something off. So he dragged me to Hearts of Iron, of all games. And we spent, oh God, it had been a good almost 12 hours of just talking, playing that game. Suicide's rough all around. And coming from Morse, I wouldn't have expected that. But that dude, the kindness in his heart outweighed anything. Because if you didn't have a smile on on your face, he wasn't happy. He always tried to make sure the best for everyone around him. So, before I lose my composure here, Morris, wherever you're at, man, thanks. And we'll regroup someday, man.
Thank you for that, Sherman. Truly. Thank you for that. PFC Gray, you are next. Please step forth. The floor is yours.
We all spent a lot of time with Morse, not just in the 29th, but like in game, but in the time we spent talking to each other outside of it. And I can say from the bottom of my heart that Morse was one of the most eccentric and funny and truly genuine people I've ever met. He was a respected squad mate and managed to be an even better friend. And sometimes it's not always just the big things that really catch your attention. It's the little things in everyday life that a person does that really mean a lot. And I know every time I would come into a channel, I would be hit with a really loud, welcoming, and long "Gray!" just out of excitement and enjoy to like see friends. And that, I feel like that really tells a lot about who Morse was as a person. I had this sort of like written, but it's not as easy to talk about as I thought it was going to be. And even when he wasn't just being his normal friendly self, if he was having a bad day, he would still give the best effort to be friendly and kind and patient with people, even though you could tell it was straining and difficult. We didn't just lose a friend, 29th member today, as it's been said a couple times before already. We lost a family member, somebody as close to us as it can possibly get. I know the 29th is a family because that's what I joined it for. I came here because I was at a time in my life when I didn't know what I wanted to be, and I met all you wonderful people. And you've all changed my life. Morse, Second Lieutenant Perdue, Sergeant Roos, Sergeant Neve, Poklemba, sorry. All of you guys. Thank you. We love you and we'll remember you forever, Morse. Fly safe into this dark night, and may your light be a beacon to all others that follow. That's all.
Thank you for that, PFC Greg. Truly. PFC Heron, you're next, please. Take a step forward. The floor is yours.
Morse was truly different from a lot of the folks that I met in the 29th. I met him very early on. Went through our training platoon very, very early on as Minor and I believe Sergeant Roos is actually still in Lighthouse at the time. But, jeez, this is harder to talk about than I thought. One sec. Morse was an incredible guy. Nothing short can be said of that. And not for reasons other than how he was in BCT, how he was as a squad mate, but just as a person. We've talked about a lot of sad things tonight, but I think we need to remember some of the happy things as well. You know, Morse was such a goofy guy. You know, he had so much heart in him, and he was not always the greatest at executing his duties. He was a goofball. You know, he had a tough time taking things seriously, but that is something that I always loved about him. I loved that, you know, you never had to be too serious around him. He always had a way of making things fun. You know, on bad days, rough days, long days at work, there was always something to brighten us up. PFC Benders, PFC Gray, PFC Doherty, who isn't here right now. Yeah, we all remember countless hours of Pulsar with him, aligning the ship to target. I know you guys all remember No Remorse as his battle cry. And these are things we'll always remember about him. Stuff that never gets old. And lasting impressions that he left on us all, from being a smiling, excited, happy face on our bad days to, you know, coming to us and our friendship and our companionship that we've all found on the 29th as a release in the times that were hard for him. We all found something truly special in PFC Morse, and something that you just don't see in people very often. He was a unique, intelligent, kind, caring, energetic, goofy, crazy young man. And it's just a shame that somebody with so much potential had to be taken from this world so soon. But that being said, I know each and every one of us in the 29th, in this channel, in this little group of friends, this band of brothers together right now, have so many positive memories with him. And that for sure is what we should be appreciating, because that is what Morse worked so hard on his good days, on his bad days, every day to make sure that we had with him. Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you for the words, PFC Aaron. All right. Next person in line is PFC Cox. Please take a step forward. The floor is yours.
So, everything that I have to say about Morse as a person and the situation at hand has already been said or is already going to be said. So I'm just going to skip that and make this short. Morse was amazing and inspirational, and we all know that. And this loss, it hits all of us hard. It is sad, but you also do have to remember, you can't just always think of the sad. Think of the happy, as Aaron said. The unfortunate truth of this world is, you can't live forever. And he was taken too soon. As they say, the brightest flames burn out the quickest. So, I'm just gonna leave with, always remember, guys, no remorse.
Thank you, PFC Cox. All right, next, PFC Welton Drake. Step forward. The floor is yours.
Good evening. It's been a while. And I just want to say that the 29th has given me probably the best experience in gaming that I've ever had, and Morse and all of you were a part of it. And with his loss, I've lost a piece of that experience, I feel. He was probably one of the, most fun-loving guys in the group. He was loud. He just loved having fun, loved being a goofball, and as Aaron said, and he was a drill instructor with me in BCT, and I think Bruce was the leader at the time of that drill unit, and I just remember having a lot of fun with him. He always made things interesting and always made things entertaining. He made this an entertaining occasion. He was a part of that, and it's really really awful to see him go like this. But that's all I wanted to say. It's good to see all of you again, and yep.
Thank you, PFC Welton Drake. All right, next we have PFC Grassic. Please step forward. The floor is yours. PFC Grassic, are you there? Or am I mispronouncing your name?
Gratchik? Hold on, I'll send a message on Steam, see what's going on.
Okay. While we're waiting for that, we can come back to him in a second, but I'll just keep this moving. The next person that had a PTS was PFC McCormick. You may step forward, and the floor is yours.
I'm not going to say too much. You guys have kind of done it a lot better already. So instead, I'm just going to recount a short story about Morse back in the 29th to highlight how I knew the dude. So Morse had been in the 29th a lot longer than I had. And, but we were always coming up with harebrained schemes in Baker 3. You all know that. And one day, I got ranting to him about the idea that the way you win is by not knowing what you're doing, so that the enemy can't figure it out, and he bought into that as well. So every time we do a little battle after that, the first time we did it, him and I actually split up from the squad, and we ran up, and we just we just threw a bunch of grenades everywhere, blew everything up, just kept throwing, screaming over proximity chat. At one point, I went through a door, and I got hit, and he just screamed, McCormick! McCormick! And I was like, what? And then I realized what he was talking about. I'm going to miss him. I wish I could have played a little bit more with him. But I'm just going to miss him.
Thank you, PFC McCormick. All right. PFC Gratchik, if you're ready now, step forward. The floor is yours.
I'm pretty sure I was Morse's EL way back, and I just remember him being really excited from day one, just the first minute even. He found somewhere he belonged. His mistakes were accepted and laughed with instead of laughed at. He was comfortable with us. He was one of the most goofy, genuine, outspoken people I've met, and his impact was definitely something that all of us felt. He was one of the only people to make an effort to get my name right, and did it and made sure he screamed my name every time I was in a server. I'm probably not alone when I say I wish I had been more patient with him at times, but he all knew that we really did love him and accepted him, and it was all in jest, never making fun of him. I wish he had been able to come to us and speak up when things got hard, but the mind's confusing. Always remember the moments with him, the lessons he taught us, remember the man he was in a very shitty place that we've all been to. Remember why we're all here right now. Just remember Morse. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, PFC Graphic. All right. Let's see. PFC Garcia, you're next. Please step forward, and the floor is yours.
So I joined the 29th in 2015. Played for some months in BP3S1, and had to leave shortly after because of school. So some months after that, I rejoined, and I asked to be assigned to my squad. And not long after that, I think it was, yeah, my squad leader said that this guy PFC Morse was rejoining. And everybody was like super happy about that, and I didn't know who that guy was, and he joined, and from the very first minute he talked to me and was with such an enthusiasm that it felt like we were best friends for I don't know how long, and every single time he was like you had known him for your entire life, like he was one of your best pals, and I think I was the only guy in the entire platoon that was not from either Canada or the US. But still, even though we were so far away, it felt like you had been your whole life close to him, and that you were actually one of his best friends, because he actually was. He was one of my best friends. I think I spent more time playing with him than I had spent with my friends in real life, with many of my friends in real life. And I really hope that wherever he is, he is as cheerful as he was with me every single time. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, PFC Garcia. Next, I have, for those of you who are not in game but are on Discord, Sergeant Roos sent me a PTS on Steam Friends. If you do not have me on Steam Friends, we can just kind of, I guess we can kind of work that out later if the individuals still want to speak. I want everybody that wants to speak, make sure they have an opportunity to. I wanted to say that real quick. But Sergeant Morse, Sergeant Roos sent me a PTS on Steam Friends, so he will go next. The floor is yours. Sergeant Bruce.
Here you go. Won't go in with my because they don't seem to be working right now. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. Yeah, my earbuds are working badly. Anyway, so yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to. I had a personal issue to deal with, but that's besides the point. So, yeah, I mean, I remember doing a lot of BCTs with Morse. I was his drill instructor for God knows how long, probably over 2 years. He was my assistant, or one of my assistant drill instructors for that long. Optimistic about being an ADI. That the day after he graduated BCT, I remember he asked me if he could join, and I was like, "Well, you're still pretty new, but yeah, I'm open to it." So eventually, he ended up eventually even became my drill instructor for DHEST for a bit once I got moved up. Now, Sam was the type of guy who never stopped. I mean, we had a few issues when he first started, but he ironed those out because that's just the way he was. He wanted to fix it, and he wanted to be the best he could. And not only for himself, would important, especially considering the fact that he was allowing the new recruits into the unit, and of course. And I was also privileged to be Sam's squad leader for a few months, not as long, but Sam was a solid guy. He was really good with whatever he used, whether it be his rifle or his SMG or whatever else I let him use during drills. I don't know if this has been mentioned, but I spoke to Binders a few weeks ago, and he had mentioned the 29th orangutan scream and all that, and we realized that wouldn't have been possible if Morse wouldn't have been there. So there's all these little things that we may not think about.
Oh no!
I'm sorry.
All these things that we wouldn't think about that wouldn't have happened. So really, I'm really saddened by this. I wish that had I been around, or that I would have been around more, and I would have accepted his invitations to play games more and all that. But when I did accept and when we did play together, mention, I'm sure he's a really standout guy. So on behalf of the Dark Hour, or former Darkest Hour training staff, I'd like to offer my sincere condolences to him and his family. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Sergeant Roos. All right. I guess at this time, I have not received any Steam messages, or I have not seen any other requests for PTSs in game. But I just want to make sure really quick. Is there anybody in Discord? I think everybody that's in game is also in Discord. Is there anybody in Discord that would like to speak that hasn't had a chance to? All right. And again, you don't have to speak if you don't want to. That's perfectly okay. What's really important is that you're all here. That's what really matters. So at this time, before we conclude, I just want to say one more thing. I think this was brought up by a couple of you. That, when I joined this, I was expecting, to basically find some sort of time sink, an online gaming community that revolved around a topic I loved, which was World War II, something I was always very interested in, very curious about. And what I ended up finding was a community, a brotherhood. And that is especially true today, as we all have come out here, we've all given our time to honor one of our departed friends. I want you to take a moment, look at the people in game, look at the people in Discord. I want you to know that these are your brothers. These are your friends. We all mean a lot to each other. And that's not going to change. If any of you ever need anything, if any of you are in a rut in life, having a bad time, or maybe you're not in a rut in life, maybe you just need advice, you're trying to overcome some big obstacle, could be anything. These are the people right here in this Discord that you can go to and you can call upon. It doesn't matter if we haven't, some of you I haven't talked to in a while. But that doesn't mean one of you can't message me on Steam or find me on Discord and just hit me up and just chat. Again, anything you need, I'm here for you. The rest of us are here for you. That's what brotherhood is. We're all in this life together. We're all on this earth together. And I think it's friendship is one of the most valuable things we can give to one another. That being said, this will conclude the memorial for PFC Morse. Thank you again, everybody, for coming out. Salute. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Peace with you. Peace be with you.
Sir.